Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm your host, Allie Ingersoll. Today we'll be talking with WRAL investigative journalist Sarah Krueger. Local jails are using high-tech screening machines, which are alerting officers to contraband. Now, these are different than your usual metal detectors, as they can identify not only weapons, but also drugs. So, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. As I just mentioned, These are different than traditional metal detectors. So why are these so important, and what makes them different?
Yeah, so I think because there are so many other dangerous items that are not made of metal, right? So these can detect various kinds of weapons and also drugs. So jails can already be pretty risky environments, and adding something to the mix like drugs or a gun or a knife could really be disastrous for the other inmates and for the staff that works there as well. So according to those we interviewed, these are about keeping everyone safe and maintaining order and security in what should be a high security environment. And they're just another level of protection afforded by our society's advancing technology.
And Sarah, you had a chance to go and see these. Now, this is obviously a podcast, so people can't see them as they're listening. Can you describe these machines and sort of how they work?
Yeah, so they look a lot like, maybe the machine you step into at the airport when you have to put your hands up above your head and when you're going through TSA security, almost like a phone booth, nothing crazy or remarkable looking at them from the outside. But they're just, sort of like this white open-sided box that you step into, and really high-powered technology. There's so much more than just metal detectors or weapons detectors. They are really X-ray machines, and they provide incredibly detailed images showing everything down to like buttons on your shirt or keys in your pocket or a wedding ring on your hand. So you step inside, one step up into this machine, and the deputy who's operating the machine right next to you presses a button to scan, and within seconds it generates an image for that deputy to look at to see, if there are any red flags on your person. And the whole thing's incredibly fast. And keep in mind, this is after a manual pat down would have already been done of this person about to enter the facility. So this is just an added layer from, what they've been doing for a very long time manually.
And really thorough. And I was asking this I was thinking about this earlier. Now, who exactly is this for? Is this for people who are incarcerated? Is this for anyone entering the jail? Who goes through a machine like this?
So this is just for people that are inmates. Not visitors to the jail. It's kind of the side room that those who are going to be entering the detention population would go through. And when they walk into this side room, they would first go to multiple manual pat downs. And then this machine is the next stop. And then right after this machine is when they, are taken through a secure door into the facility. So this is really the last line of defense. And so obviously very important that at this point, everything is detected.
And you were talking to people there in Nash County, correct? They have these there.
Yes.
And so are they saying that this is working? What sort of contraband are they detecting there?
Yeah, so they are very big fans of it, very big advocates. They found guns, knives, drugs, and there were some really interesting photos and anecdotes that the person I interviewed, who is Captain Daniel Wren, that he shared with us. And some of the anecdotes that really stood out, a person who had swallowed balloons heroin. And so the idea was then to pass that through their system while in jail and presumably sell those drugs then to the inmate population. So the X-ray machine, he showed us the image that it showed deputies that day. It showed the balloons in the stomach with the drugs inside, like all very clearly. And so that prompted deputies to then get a search warrant. They took this person to the hospital, had that removed. That person was ultimately charged for this. And this technology prevented all of that from getting into the jail. So this is something that could obviously never have been caught in a pat down or a metal detector. That would be completely invisible to the naked eye. And without this X-ray machine, they never would have caught it. And then other things he showed us, as far as the guns, again, all things missed during the prior manual pat downs, they were in some tucked away places in people's bodies. So there was one man who was a larger man, and he had tucked a gun inside the skin of his stomach. And so it was just like way up there. You couldn't see it. The officers didn't feel it during the pat down. But then this x-ray machine clearly showed the outline of a gun. We have that image in our story. And so, yeah, Captain Wren says this technology is saving lives, and it has been so worth it for them. He said it makes him feel just a lot safer in his job and feel a lot better about the safety of all the inmates who are there.
Yeah, really interesting. And obviously we know with heroin, a lot of that is also tainted with fentanyl at this point. So it could become deadly and could be a really bad situation if that were to get inside of the jail.
Yeah, he did say something about, if this were fentanyl, this would be enough to potentially wipe out the whole jail.
Wow. Is there anything else interesting that the captain said or that you two talked about?
Yeah, so he said after Nash County got this system, which was a couple years ago, and when other law enforcement agencies heard how well it was working, he says he's fielded numerous calls and even in-person visits from other agencies because they want to see how it works. They, want to get the demo, and they really want to get one. So Nash County was among the first in the state to really get this. And now a lot of other agencies are turning to them for guidance as they hope to do the same.
Really interesting. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. Now, Sarah, how exactly did you find out about this story?
So I was talking on the phone with Nash County Sheriff Keith Stone about a totally different story and topic, and he happened to mention this technology that they had in the jail, and he thought it was really interesting. I thought it sounded really interesting, so we set something up from there. And Allie, as you know, that's so often how we do get our stories is just regular conversations, and then your curiosity peaks and your reporter sense goes up and says, wait, I want to look into that more and follow that. And so that's just what happened here. And especially when I saw the images of what they had found, I thought it was an even more compelling story.
Yeah, and then you got to go there and see them, which I think is so interesting, too, because a lot of times people, they don't even know what the inside of a jail looks like. And you not only got to do that, but you got to see the process to getting inside of the jail and what the people who are incarcerated go through when they are going through that.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, Nash County was very gracious to have us and walk us through the whole process and very generous with their time.
So these machines that are in Nash County, in your story, you talk about how they were grant funded through COVID grants. How expensive are these?
Yeah, paid for entirely by COVID grant money. And one machine, they spent about $150,000 on it, which, is a lot of money, but hopefully it will last for a long time. And now that they have it, they say they really can't put a price tag on the peace of mind and the safety that it affords them. And certainly with the results that they've seen, things that they definitely would have missed, this caught them. So it sounds like in Nash County, there is no going back.
And you talked about some other places who are wanting to go forward with these as well. What are some other places that maybe have put them in since Nash County did, or is there anyone that's in the talks right now of doing that?
So in my reporting for the story, I reached out to a number of other counties in our viewing area. Wake County, the Wake County Sheriff's Office told me they already have funding allotted to get this same technology, and they're in the engineering and architectural stage now, sorting all of that out. So that's imminently on the horizon and shouldn't be too much longer. And then Orange County, the spokesperson there for the Sheriff's Office, told me they do not have it, but they want it. Edgecombe County was the other one that already does have this. And then I also reached out to Durham and have not yet gotten an answer from them about, what they have or what they may want.
Okay, so coming to a lot of our local prisons and jails then. And the way you're describing this, Sarah, you keep saying X-ray. So are there any health and safety concerns of constantly being around radiation or anything like that? Is it really like an X-ray?
So this was something that I definitely asked Captain Wren about, because as soon as we walked in, and I saw the machine, it had a very large sign on it that said, something to the effect of no pregnant women can use this machine. And for those who don't know, I am quite pregnant at the moment. So had a lot of questions about that. And in our story, we had planned to do a demonstration of it. My photographer kindly stepped up to the plate. And so in the story, you will see him going through it, not me. But Captain Wren said they do a number of tests on it. And I think, primarily the concern would be for the deputies who are standing right there and running this machine throughout the day, more so than maybe the person who just goes through it one time. And so he said they've done tests on that and have not detected any kind of troubling levels of radiation. So the only people that cannot go through it are those who are pregnant or who expect they may be pregnant. And then also anyone who has an internal device like a pacemaker. So other than that, he said, it's totally safe for everyone to use. I, of course, stood on the opposite side of the room while we were filming and it was going off just to make sure. But he said everything's been tested and no radiation concerns.
So safe for people walking through it and also increases safety for everyone around. So thank you, Sarah, so much for doing this story, for showing us these machines, and for joining me today. We really appreciate it.
Of course.
And thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can find more podcasts from WRAL News at WRAL.com. Just search podcast. From sports to true crime, there are plenty of shows to keep you informed and entertained. Thanks for listening.